And I want to show you one final digital audio workstation. This is one that is for Apple only. I've tried not to look at programs which are only for one application, one operating system. But many of you may have Apple computers, and I did want to mention this particular one, Logic, or Logic Pro, as the version is now, which is quite similar to many of the other ones, such as Pro Tools, so forth. And it does have a lot of great features that some of the other ones don't have on it. Here again, one of the questions on digital audio workstations is how many plugins come with it, or the ease of using those plugins, because generally when you're working with a recording and MIDI recording system, it's not just the one application you're working with, but it's access to the other ones that make it easy to utilize or not. So Logic Pro is a very good, robust system. It's in some ways not one of the more expensive programs to run if you have a Macintosh computer. It is designed by Apple, and here's the website. So you can go to apple.com and look for Logic Pro and see all the features of this. It here again has all of the many similar features. You can record, you can compose music. It has its own sort of score editors. It has a mixing configuration. You can do lots of editing to sound files and MIDI files as well. It has a range of plugins. So this is the sort of the standard kind of components that most of your workstations will have. The reason I'm bringing this one up, I do want to point out sort of just one particular set of plugins that come with this, which is the Sculpture Synthesizer, which is there are a lot of different tutorials that I'm showing here that you can find online that people have sort of made looking at this. We mentioned before one of the more interesting kinds of synthesis systems is the physical modeling. So this particular Sculpture is a physical modeling program which is built into Logic. So here is the Logic screen. You'll see, I'm not going to take you through everything on this because many of you may not have Macintosh, but at the top here we would see a standard edit screen where the tracks that you can add and access to. This is an audio file of a composition that I worked on, I think I mentioned a few times in this course, First Life, which was some sonification of some biochemical data that I work with some professors at Georgia Institute of Technology. But this is just an audio file I grabbed from that. It also, the reason I pull this in, Logic, which also Pro Tools has the capability of importing a video file or a QuickTime file, so that if you're working in film or video, you can sync up your video to the audio. So this has the video that is built in that was synced to the audio. Just one little section of that. Down here we have the mix windows for that. I've added a couple of other tracks just for time's sake that are not part of this originally, and this is the Sculpture track that I wanted to demonstrate, which is the physical modeling. So if you just kind of quickly just listen when you hit the space bar, you'll see the video track playing over here as the audio is going by, and then the mix windows down here, that's the audio that's playing, and then the output, so forth. And then there's obviously a sample editor where you can go in to do very specific sampling. There's a lot of the same features that many of these have. A piano roll, scroll editor if you want to edit the MIDI notes. I don't have any MIDI notes in this particular one at the moment. Different kind of score features. So this has a few more score features built into this than does the score editor for Pro Tools, but Pro Tools also has access to import directly into the Sibelius file, which is very robust. So they each have their own advantages and disadvantages. So anyway, it's very kind of a little bit different way of looking at the screens than Pro Tools, but many of them have a lot of the same features, just kind of understanding how to navigate around them differently. Some people prefer Logic over Pro Tools. I think it's whatever you're used to. So, but let me just quickly take you into the Sculpture. So if I double click on this here, we see this particular instrument editing screen. And remember, physical modeling is really a way of looking at all the different subtle controls over sound that we have in a physical excitation of a sound. So acoustic instruments, you can blow an instrument, you can strike it, you can pluck it, or you can bow it. Those are the many kind of variations on that. So what a physical modeling patch has, it has the capability of modeling any of those. So if I quickly, I'll play a few sounds of this particular one, just called Bombay Pluck, for example. If I just, I've got a little keyboard that I can play here from my computer keyboard. So here hear some of the just interesting sounds of that. It does sound like it's something that is being maybe bowed and plucked at the same time. So the screen looks a little bit intimidating, but let me try to break it down for you a little bit here. What I'll do maybe quickly is go into, there's a default setting here which clears out all the memory, so we can hear just a very simple sort of plug sound. Over here, this section, we do have 3 different ways we can excite the sound. So right now we have just the first object turned on. So if I keep plucking that, I can move that just like if you pluck close to a fret or to the end of a string, you get different timbre as you move toward plucking the middle of the string. It has the same impact of that, of sort of a sul ponticello pizzicato sort of effect of those strings. So we can change that from an impulse to a bow, for example. So then we get the same thing. You can bow close to the string, sul ponticello, move toward the center. So you do get that control. We could change this again to more of a noise quality, which a lot of string instruments do have noise built in them, or to a blown effect. And you notice here it does have the nodes of, as you move toward different points, you get overtone series built into that, which is very much like a blown trumpet or flute or anything you do. As you increase the pressure, you do go up the overtone series of that by making higher nodes of it. So it has a very close assimilation to the kind of effect of a blown instrument. So I could add a second object to that, and this one is set up on blow. Let me change that to maybe pick, so you can hear a difference. So you can hear the pick effect of that. And then with the number 1 added behind that, so I turn the 1 off. There's just the pick effect, or I could change that to something else, maybe a noise effect, and then add that back to the first one. So now we get more of a noisy blown effect to that. We can move that around to other parts of the form as well. We also have the quality of pickups that we can move, just like you would have on a guitar, where you have different kind of pickups that you can move around on the screen. We have that capability here of moving the pickups to change the quality of where the string is picked up. And then a third one, if I were to add, this would add just a bouncing effect that I could pull up here. The bouncing could be at different points in the string as well. So now I'm getting all 3 different effects on that. So you can sort of see how there are 3 different objects that can be combined and placed along the string in very interesting ways. There are also a different kind of timbre manipulations you can do to this as well. Other kinds of changes I won't get into right at the moment here. Over here, the central screen, we can change what kind of material this particular string or blown device is. So right now we're kind of set up closer to steel. If I move into closer to glass, or to wood, to nylon. So you can see the change of the wood material will affect the resonance of that. We can change the key scale, sometimes as you move around you'll get a pitch change on some of these, the release point of that, so forth, all sorts of different variables you can have with this. I won't take you through. This is called the wave shaper on that. Over here we could add a delay to this if I wanted to have different kind of delay so that it would reticulate itself. It's kind of hard to hear that with the bouncing object on there, but the delay on that would give us that sort of delay shape. We've also got equalizer if we want to add low equalizers. So just like any kind of equalizer, you can change the quality of that sound. You've also got filter on here. If I have a low pass filter or high pass filter, obviously you can change that to a peak filter, band pass, notch filter, all the ones we've learned about. So you can change the resonance of that, of the high pass filter, low pass filter. Lots of variables here on here. You also got this wonderful morphing feature, which you can morph between various kinds of settings. With this screen here, you can record that so that any movement you do on this setting gets sort of preset, so that dynamic rate, and then it's changed each time you play the note. It will remember that particular setting. Over here you've got your modulation section. You've got different LFOs. Remember, we can set up sine wave for doing vibratos, LFO2, different kind of jitter. Same functions, which all these are just simple, different kind of simple FM, AM timbre modulations you can do on here. I won't take you through, but this is the modulation section down here, as well as more sustain. You do have As you go further down here, you have some different kind of modes you can do for envelope generators. As we talked about ADSRs, you've got lots of controls here for that. So just very quickly, a couple of envelope generators. So this is, once you sort of dissect it, from this course, you should be able to play around and understand, once again, what all of these functions are. But what's great about this here, as most of these, you can go through and try out a lot of the presets that are preset in here, which give you a lot of different variety of plucked, struck, or blown kind of sounds. And here again, it's very easy to edit all of these sounds. So anyway, this is a fairly sophisticated physical modeling program. Most of these things also, I won't get into this, but you can automate any of these changes. So what makes a lot of these sounds interesting is not just that you fix them, but that maybe they're in transition as you're playing them. So there are qualities of sound so that the sound is actually moving as you play a note and so forth. So all this can be automated very easily in this. So a really great, very powerful physical modeling program. And this is called Sculpture, and it's built within Logic Pro, which is Apple's sort of comparison to the Avid Pro Tools system. All right, so if you have an Apple computer, I would suggest checking out Logic Pro. It's a very great system, and also if you work in Apple products, you may have already worked in GarageBand. This is maybe a more advanced system of GarageBand. A lot of things, the sounds that you use in GarageBand can be imported into this quite easily. All right, so that's Logic Pro.
The preceding program is copyrighted by Emory University.